Hello, in this video, we're going to reflect on the recent release by Fanatics of this VeeFriends set and what it means, what it might mean for the future of Fanatics in the sports card hobby. Now, as we start talking about this topic, I'm going to try to not have like an emotional reaction to this. I'm going to try to be looking at this as objectively as possible because, I think there's a lot of things that immediately I have like a knee-jerk reaction that are very negative to, but there's also some positive potential things and things to keep in mind from this as well. So I'm kind of going to try to look at both sides and kind of see what this might mean for the future of sports cards. The first positive thing is a more obvious one. The process that they've unveiled on how they are going to be doing these Dutch auction things is really quite interesting. I like the concept of it. I do like that. I feel like whoever's willing to spend the most money is going to get a savings, and it seems like a nice way to do it. I've oftentimes thought the market is so often determined by one single sale, and then everything else has to copy that one, and that's not really a true representation of the market. That's a representation of one dude who might have overpaid for something. So this feels like it's a little bit more balanced as far as the pricing of things, which is good. I had never actually heard of that style of auctioning, and I like that. I like that. If I don't think it would work for single cards, of course, because that's like unless there's a big lot of cards or something. I don't think it would work with single cards, but for products, for boxes, for stuff like that, I like it. So that's one positive. Another positive, and this one you kind of have to adjust your mindset a little bit, but I like the idea that Fanatics is willing to experiment. I think that's useful in the hobby where it's at right now. I think a lot of things have gotten into a certain level of comfortableness, I guess you could say, a certain level of not really striving to find the next creative thing. Like it seems like each year the next creative thing is basically just a different kind of color parallel, adding in some animal prints or adding in something else that makes it a little bit more rare or something like that. But up till recently, it seems like all the creativity had already been in there. You had the patches inserted at some point, a couple decades ago. You had the autographs inserted at some point. You start doing a little bit more of the color parallels, and then you go crazy with the color parallels. So I feel like it's a good thing that there's some willingness to experiment. And I don't know, maybe there's some other positive things. As I'm saying some of the negative things, I'll see if some of the other positive, because I have had some other reflections here and there, small things. But on the negative side, there's a lot more big things that this really concerns me. When Fanatics was first going to be taking over the sports card market, basically conquering like all realms of the sports card market, I had mixed feelings about it. I think it's an over monopoly kind of thing in the realm of sports cards is not necessarily a positive thing. But at the same time, I liked some of the things that I heard from Fanatics, some of the things about how they were going to try to expand the number of people who are involved in the hobby, try to find ways of connecting, like, for example, to sports fans who would love sports card collecting but don't really realize it yet, and their connections with the different sports leagues made that a natural process, and their connections with the different players associations and things made that a natural process. So I felt, okay, that's cool. Like, if you can bring in people who are watching these sports but who would love sports card collecting, it would be a great addition to the community, and they don't realize it yet, that's great. And even some of the other things I had heard them say about how they wanted to expand into non-sports things, and cultural related things. I even think I actually quite like that as a concept. I think there's space for that. I don't think it necessarily intersects with the same group of people who would collect sports cards, and that's perfectly okay. Some of the if there was sports cards for different bands and musicians, if there were sports cards for different celebrities, I could see how certain people would like that. I can appreciate that. But the very first product release being this VeeFriends thing feels very strange to me, because to me it seems like, okay, back in 2000, 2001, you start having this massive spike in the sports card industry, and then you have all these people jumping into the hobby that are there for a quick buck. They just see, oh wow, this is growing, let's quickly grab as many cards as we can and sell them immediately. Let's see if we can make some money, and then the card hobby goes crazy. And then eventually that spike inevitably has to start going down, and a lot of people who were there for that flipping process, they're like, okay, I'm out, I'm gone. Now this product, it seems to me that it's aiming at the people who left when the going started going down again. It's what it seems to me, because it seems like a lot of the people who were in it for the quick flip, they weren't in it for sports cards. They're jumping from whatever market to whatever market there happens to be a jump in. So they went from sports cards and then they jumped over to NFTs, many of them, and then kind of left sports cards behind because they weren't really interested in sports cards. They were just interested in money. Now, this product feels like it's kind of like trying to pull that group of people back to the cards again, which I don't think is good for the hobby, because, the long-term health of the hobby needs people who are committed to the hobby itself, not to just the quick flip aspect, but to all the elements. Flipping is, I have nothing against flipping, and I flip cards all the time, but it's one element of the ecosystem of sports cards, and all of the elements are needed. You need the dedicated collectors. You need people who want to make some short money. You need the investors. You need people who understand the sport and can connect value of things to the quality of the player of the sport. If you're in sports cards, for example, or if you're in Marvel cards, you need people who understand the stories and the backstories of the different characters and why certain kinds of sets are more attractive. You need collectors. You need people who are knowledgeable about the hobby. Now, this one feels like it's surviving on hype. It's surviving on who? It's surviving on the fact that it's Gary Vee. It's surviving on the fact that it's Josh Luber, and that they're pushing this, and they're really pushing this. And a lot of YouTubers are eating up that pushing and kind of pushing it a little further. But I feel like that's all hype. I feel like it's based on, this is happening, there's big changes, this is Fanatics, they're coming in, it's the first series, is this going to be like first series Pokemon, is this going to sell for millions? Like, there's all this like, whoa, this hype that's building up. But I feel like it's rooted in nothing. There's nothing collectible about this. Nobody has a connection with these particular characters. I know there's the NFT, it's within the NFT realm, but NFTs are their own thing, and I feel like they're the kind of thing that if you're interested in NFTs, it has a reason. There's a reason behind NFTs. They're connected to the blockchain. They're this asset that can never die, that can never be copied. I understand. I'm personally not drawn to NFTs myself, but I can understand the draw to it. But then you take the one part of the NFTs that I've never liked is the corny artwork. And you take just that element, the one element that has nothing to do with NFTs and just has to do with the limitations of the medium, and then you put that onto a card. And then it takes away all of the advantages of an NFT and just keeps you with the disadvantages. And it takes away all the advantages of trading cards, of if it's sports cards where you have a connection with the sport, or if it's Marvel cards, you have a connection with the characters. It takes away all of those advantages of the trading cards. So I feel it's like NFTs without the good things of NFTs, trading cards without the good things of trading cards. And then it's just empty. And even the artwork, I was looking at that artwork and I was like, seriously, my 8-year-old daughter is so much better. She draws wolves all the time. She could make artwork that outshines that stuff easily. She does every day, I would say. So there's nothing, I don't see anything collectible about it. I feel like they've manufactured hype and it's surviving on this hype. And I don't think there's any way it's the kind of hype that could last for a long time. Now, I have nothing against Gary Vee at all. I've watched a lot of his YouTube videos over the years. I appreciate his hustle, his personality. I quite enjoy. I like him as a person. I don't think he's done, I know he's very polarizing, and some people think he's really done negative things for sports card hobby and other things. I don't have such strong feelings against him. I think it's fine. I think he's found a niche. He's doing his thing, and I have absolutely nothing against him. I probably would enjoy hanging out with him. But I don't think this is a product that is going to be a good thing long term. And the other thing, even if this does well, even if it survives on hype and that hype survives for decades and it continues to be valuable, I still feel like it's worrisome to me about the future of where Fanatics is taking things. Because to me, it seems like if you're going to build up a new base of customers, a new base of people who are interested in the trading card hobby, you need to find the kind of people who are going to be committed to something more than the short-term opportunities of it, which really seems like this VeeFriends product is focused on. You need people who, for example, in sports, you need people who are committed to the sport. If you want to do it in the realm of non-sports cards, which ZeroCool is aiming at, you got to do it in the realm of things that people are really, truly dedicated to, and that there's a foundation foundation, a base of fandom that people will commit themselves to. Musicians, for example, I could see making a lot of sense. If some of my favorite musicians, a lot of my favorite musicians aren't necessarily like the pop musicians or top 40 musicians, so I don't think any of my favorite musicians will make the cut to have any kind of ZeroCool cards. But if they did, and it was like some kind of short printed thing and looked really cool and had a cool design and it was collectible, it really felt like a collectible, like I would totally be okay with getting something like that. Like a musician kind of card would be cool. And I could see for some people, I like, some of the celebritydom, the E exclamation point celebritydom feels very shallow to me, so that personally wouldn't interest me at all, but I could see how some other people would. I do worry a little bit about some of the long-term value of certain celebrities, because a lot of celebrities, they come up and they go down, they come up and they go down, but I guess that's true with sports players too, so that's fine. So if you want to go in the realm of celebrities, I could see, it's a market that's untapped, so I could see why that would be a worthwhile experiment. I could understand all that. It's just this realm of trying to tap into it almost seems like it's trying to tap into people who jumped into NFTs but have no knowledge of NFTs. And trying to bring back the people who jumped into sports cards and have no knowledge of sports cards. It's rooted in something that has no foundation. I don't know. I just don't see the long-term benefit of this kind of move. I mean, I know just playing devil's advocate, or maybe angel's advocate, I could say I understand the need to try to reach out and find different realms. I understand the need to try to create something completely brand new, really make yourself stand out, so that it doesn't just look like a copy and paste, a rinse and repeat of the exact same thing that's happened. I understand the need to create some hype. I understand the need to try to make yourself stand out a little bit, especially when you're first starting on. I understand the need for all of that. I just feel like this was the wrong area to start that process in. I don't know, maybe they're setting their expectations so low for me that everything from here will be a positive. I doubt that was part of their thinking here, but that's one thing I could see is maybe if this is as bad as it gets and it just improve from here, it's good. And if they approach things in a learning attitude, that if they actually learn from things and they do improve, maybe it doesn't matter where it starts. I'm not totally convinced. I mean, I've watched so many of the different interviews with Josh Luber after he had this, and he seems like a perfectly cool person. Like I probably would enjoy chatting with him at some point. I think it'd be fine. But, I feel like there was certain talking points that he was bringing up and really forcing into the conversation at certain points that felt a little inauthentic. For example, he mentioned several different interviews about the importance that Fanatics will have in listening to the customers and sharing and making improvements based on what the customers are actually saying. But then whenever he would go to say what the improvements were, or what people are actually saying, I feel like he was just not listening. I mean, because basically he just kept saying over and over that the two complaints they were getting were not enough product and about not being able to ship it internationally. Those two things. I have been reading the comments of all these different interviews, and some of the comment boxes, I'm surprised at how positive everybody is actually. But the ones who are saying things that are negative about it, it's so clear, it's so obvious that people think the artwork is corny, that people think that the particular aim of a NFT card is corny, that people feel like this is something that doesn't have deep roots. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of things that I'm reading again and again and again that I'm just a dude who's reading the comments, and I can understand that there's a lot more than those two things that Josh Luber keeps saying is the two things that are the big complaints. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, so they're saying this platitude that they're going to be listening to the customers, but then the things that they're actually saying are the problems are not the problems. I mean, maybe those are some small problems too, but that's not a problem. that's like the equivalent of you're at an interview and somebody says, "What's your biggest weakness?" and you say, "I'm a perfectionist." It's not being authentic. It's not being true. And I really hope, because I feel like, I feel like Josh Luber wants to approach this in an authentic way. But I also, at this point, with all these interviews, I don't have any sense that he has much knowledge of the sports card community itself, honestly. I feel like he has a sense of the flippers mentality, and he has a sense of hype, and he has a sense of how to tap into hype, which are important for getting something going. But I don't feel like those are the things that are going to keep this going in a strong way. You need more than hype, and you need more than trends, the hot new trend, that something that people will jump to because it's the new shiny thing, and then after there's something else to jump to, they jump to that other shiny thing and then leave behind that last one, and then that last one falls away into obscurity and becomes valueless. You need something that you jump it in, it can have the hype, it can have the shiny new thing element, but there has to be a part of it that keeps it collectible, that keeps it in people's minds, that keeps it interesting. And if it's missing that element, then even if these values go super soaring for the short term, I feel like it can't sustain itself if there's not true deep interest in it. So I feel that that's missing right now. I don't know where the future is going to go with all of this, but at the moment, this has taken my cautious optimism about Fanatics and turned it into kind of a cautious pessimism. I think there's still plenty of space, there's still plenty of time, and they have a lot of different things that they're going to do, so it's hard to know for sure. There could be some good things on the horizon as well. And like I said, there are some positive things. Just the fact that they're being creative and trying new things and trying to shake up some of the standards of things is perfectly okay with me. The Dutch auction approach is great. So there's some good little gems in the mix in there. I just feel like it's overshadowed by the grime and mud. So we'll see what happens in the future. But anyway, that's where I'm at with my thinking for now. Peace.